Hey, Mim.
Hey, Scarlett.
Welcome back, guys. You're listening to Style Over Substance.
We're just two friends talking about our experiences working inside the fashion industry and also our observations from outside the fashion industry. It's sometimes serious, but it's definitely always a good laugh.
Always. We release new episodes every Tuesday.
So subscribe on your favourite podcast listening platforms. I have developed a passion that I didn't know existed inside of me about a week ago. No,
For what?
It's bad because it's caused me to spend money. So you know how I said I was buying myself a birthday present.
Yeah.
So I bought myself a birthday present, and it's what I was planning to buy.
A month early.
Let me get into it. So I think you know, but I always use a diary. I'm a diary keeper.
Same.
For years, every day. I'm fraying at the edges because I haven't yet got my 2022 diary. I think this is part of the reason why I didn't get out of bed till half because what am I doing with my life? So normally I just get the cheap, I'm a really cheap diary person. I get one at Poundland for £1 and I use it solidly for the rest of the year. I'm really cheap. But then I thought to myself, you know what? I don't want to spend £5 or £7 on a diary that I don't really want. So what have I done? I've spent loads of money on a diary.
Where have you gone for? Smythes then?
No. So I actually bought two. One for what? Hold on.
One for work.
One for work.
One for pleasure.
Because I've always had the issue of making notes and reminders and planning my day for work and then having notes and reminders for my actual life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'm going to do two. I'm going to have one for each. And I've fallen into the YouTube rabbit hole of agendas and planning and organization.
Oh, how many times have I started trying to do a bullet journal for various different things or making my own diary?
That's stress.
It's a lot of upkeep. Lot of upkeep. I do it for about a month, maybe two, and then
That's good.
Then I just fall off the wagon.
Yeah, you're better than me. Honestly, I couldn't do that. So at first I started watching, you must have seen them and had the similar thought.
I love them. I love when they have stickers. I
was I don't need these stickers. This is too much for me. I don't need these stickers. What is a dashboard? I don't need the dashboard. It's fine. I don't need these clips. I don't need these. They start talking about the nib of the pen that they use. Yeah. And this is.
And you want it to be the same pen throughout.
Oh, it's got to be the same pen throughout. And I was like, you know what? I know how to use diary. I've got my own little thing going. Yeah, I could absorb some new points and I can learn from these girl bosses on YouTube.
Is this what you were doing in bed too?
Yeah. No, I've been on this for a week straight. And then it hit me and I was like, you know what? I do need the stickers because look what they're doing with the stickers.
Yeah.
So I bought a diary, a leather A5.
Yeah.
One's from AliExpress. And I thought, that was off a recommendation of some girl. And I thought hers looks really good. So I'm going to just take a chance and when this diary turns up in 5 months, I'll see what it's like. And then the second one I've bought from Filofax. Now that was the expensive one. Oh, by the way, those are the latest two I've bought because I bought two before, but I'm returning them.
Wow. So we've gone from a no spend on clothes and you've redirected that into a passion for agendas.
Yeah.
And diaries.
But you know what?
I think that's fine if you use them. You don't want them just to never be used.
Yeah, exactly. The way I'm viewing it is that my whole point of my no buy for my clothes is that I'm allowed to redirect my money into other things. That's not, it's to slow down and to stop my accumulation of clothes. And clothes is for me, it's such an easy thing to just buy on a whim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to buy more diary.
Another diary on a whim. Yeah.
You don't. So it's an intentional buy. basically, it's more of an intentional buy. Once I return the first 2 that I bought.
So you're currently 4 Diary Mim.
yeah. 4 diaries have my money in a chokehold right now. Also, this is fashion related because the first 2 I bought were Filofax as well, but they were simple. They were clean leather, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, I've got to jazz them up a little bit. So I bought some Anya Hindmarsh stickers, didn't I? Yeah. But those are going back with the because the amount of money I spent on stickers,
I'm sure, is
ridiculous. So, yeah. So that was my how's your life going?
Yeah. I have 1 diary and I'm happy with that.
Did you buy it or is it
I think I bought it maybe at the end of last year. I think it's a bit of probably like better for people who work in schools. It wasn't quite a half and half of like August to August or something.
Like an academic.
I think it's not even probably 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's like 15-month diary.
Okay.
It's just really clean. It's really nice. I mainly just more use it so I can remember stuff. I do try and write things in my phone, but I am someone who still, I have to write out a to-do list, and I just like to write things down. What's your fashion story?
So my first fashion story is last week I got an email from Gap. I should probably unsubscribe.
I was going to say, how did that slip through the net?
Oh no. They notified me that the Yeezy collaboration had begun and that the Yeezy hoodies were on sale. Now, I'd heard that I think a few months ago, we all heard that Yeezy was officially going to be doing a line with Gap.
Mm-hmm.
And
I also sort of heard that they were backing out of it after he did.
Oh, is it?
One of his many moments.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I suppose.
But you know what you're getting into at this point when you go into business with him.
He's a bit of a liability, but he has such a massive following and like cult following, let's say, when it comes to fashion, that it makes sense to have, anything he touches fashion wise turns to gold. And I think Gap is going through a period of stagnation, or they're just not popular. Me personally, I love their t-shirts. I think their long sleeve t-shirts they have like good basics,
really good basics. Do I need to have a jumper with Gap on it? Probably not.
No. But
do you remember when we were younger and everyone said that stood for gay and proud?
Yes. Oh my God.
I don't know if that is what the Gap logo is for.
No, it's not.
But I'm guessing it's not.
The store used to be called The Gap.
Yeah.
So the gay and proud doesn't.
But that was like, I don't know if anyone else had that at school, but that for sure was like what everyone used to say it stood for.
That wasn't a school thing. That was like, I think that was a global thing.
A global young person thing.
Yeah.
But they were also the itch jumper.
Yeah, that was the it jumper. I think that, whilst I was subscribed to their mailing list, they always had an offer, a discount offer, 20% off, an extra 15% off sale, all of this. And I think that they're probably struggling a little bit. And so Yeezy just makes sense to revive the brand. And
so you sent me a screenshot of a jumper or a hoodie. To my naked eye, I didn't zoom in or go on the link. It's just a plain black hoodie.
Yeah, it's just a plain black hoodie. I think where it gets interesting is the shape of it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it's basically got a bat wing, so like a dropped armpit.
Fine.
And it's still got a kangaroo pocket thing, and it's still got, I don't know if they're called kangaroos.
But we all know what you mean.
Yeah.
You describe that perfectly.
It's still got a hoodie, and they are black, or you can get the cobalt blue version.
Ooh.
And they come in adult and they come in kids, and that's it. And you click on the link, and I had to put my details in, but I had to put my email address and all that in first. And
Kanye is going to be emailing everyone for his presidential campaign.
Oh God. I'll be like, that's against GDPR. Excuse me. But yeah, so you click on it, and then there's like a music video that accompanies it. I don't know what came first, the hoodie or the music, but it's in Kanye style. It's this whole grand video, and everyone's in these hoodies, like they're like obscured figures in these hoodies,
like an army in
and they're in like Paris, but it's like a dimly lit kind of European city, because
wow.
Paris. And yeah, there's a whole vibe that goes with it. I mean, he's great at marketing and all of that, but it's £80.
You know what, I don't think that's I wouldn't have been surprised if it was more.
That's true.
And actually I wonder if their regular one's 60. Things are getting more expensive. Like, I still live in the moment of like thinking everything's like 40 quid.
Yes.
But it sort of isn't anymore.
Yeah.
And I have actually noticed, and I think it's along the lines of why you say Gap is doing this. I've noticed a few high street shops, Warehouse in particular, have really upped their prices, and like I think they're positioning themselves slightly differently in the market. Yeah. They used to be the same level as Topshop, I always sort of thought.
Warehouse has been expensive for a while. Yeah,
but right. I haven't really checked their website in a while, and I was like, actually, you've sort of made yourself feel a bit more premium.
Like the level of like Reese.
Yeah, yeah, it's sort of getting there. Yeah, like there's a coat on there that I really like, and I was like, it's over 100 quid. So, what?
Yeah.
Whereas before I'd imagined it to have been like 60 or something. But yeah, I reckon it'll do really well, because that's a good price point that people will justify that, to have a slice of Yeezy.
Yeah.
You know, that's a really clever collaboration. Interesting. Let us know if you guys get a Yeezy hoodie, a Gap times Yeezy hoodie.
Yeah. What is your fashion story?
So I saw this on my feed earlier. So in the Prada men's show that I think has happened maybe today, Jeff Goldblum walked the runway. I have a real soft spot for Jeff Goldblum.
He's really well dressed.
He's I don't know about his acting really. Like
Jurassic Park.
Like I'm not like that. I'm not a fan in that sense. He is one suave dude. Yeah. And I thought, hang on, that's actually shocking that he probably hasn't yet been. Well, maybe he has done catwalks before, but for sure he should be a regular on the catwalk. He is suave, sophisticated, always well put together. Yeah. Just thought I thought that was really, really cool. So I think I think they've had a few other named faces and a few celebrities kind of paying homage to back sort of maybe, I think it's about 10 years ago, where this whole celebrity on the catwalk thing had a little revival.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I just feel like we haven't really heard much, or there's not been much buzz around Prada for a while. And I don't know if they're re-entering.
When what's his face became co-creative director, that was like the buzz, and it was like, is this a new era for Prada?
I hope so. Like, I know their nylon bags are popular, but again, like most things, that's sort of a rehaul from the 90s.
They have the puffy coat, you know, the lapel coat with the belt. And their chunky loafers.
The chunky loafers. Yeah, they're really popular. But they also have Tom Holland as their latest sort of ambassador, and he's obviously a hot topic at the moment after the latest Spider-Man film, smashing loads of records. So I feel like You heard it here first. I feel like I haven't done this for a while. A little prediction. Yeah. If you're new here, this used to happen a fair amount. Yeah, I feel like this might be sort of the revival coming back around, or just a little reminder of we are here. And like you said, actually, loads of stuff that we do is really hot right now. So yeah, Prada.
Yeah, I really like Jeff Goldblum and his whole suave and his whole style. He obviously has a stylist, but for a man of his age and like just to be that into current fashion and make it part of his appeal, I think is really cool. And I think from when I used to see him more on Instagram, I think he's always been a bit of a Prada boy. Yeah, like the shirts, especially like, because Prada does a lot, especially for men's, they do a lot of like 1950s rockabilly shaped shirts, and they used to come out with those like wild prints, those like banana and graphic prints and whatnot, and that was massive.
I loved their banana phase. And
I think he was one of those guys who are really like in that trend hardcore. So yeah, that makes sense. But this whole Prada show featuring a Hollywood celeb, reminds me of the Gucci Hollywood show. And again, I can't help but think about hiring celebrities to be creative directors. Is it like this, as you said, is it harkening back to a time when we used to see a lot more celebrities actually walk in catwalks and shows? And then it begs the question, does it undermine professional models when it's like, no one gives a fuck about you because look, it's Macaulay Culkin. It's like so-and-so on the runway. And does it cheapen everyone else's job? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And actually that's so true. And probably like, I don't think I could tell you many current models, you know, other than the Hadids, other than Kaya Gerber. I don't know many current models who are walking catwalks. And I think that's a real transition, and I don't know, I'd be really interested to see if there is a dynamic of that.
Well, I have another fashion which is kind of linked in a way.
I was gonna go on to say I don't recognize a single one of the models.
I think if I read a couple names, I think you will recognize too. So British Vogue had an all-African model front page, all dressed in black with these like 1960s waved wigs in all different variations. The background was like this chocolatey brown. All the models were wearing like black tuxes and suits, very like dramatic. I loved this kind of, I like the styling and the coloring and, you know, the image of this front cover, because it's really powerful.
It's really impactful.
It reminds me of the Italian Vogue where they had what was it called? It was like the Black issue. It was called, and it was like Naomi Campbell and like only like essentially black models, and that was a big fucking deal at the time, because first it was like Italian Vogue, and you know, not probably the most like diverse Vogue or modeling scene, you know. And so this kind of harkens back to that. So Funmi Feto, who's a UK, she's like a beauty columnist. She was the one who wrote the article in essentially talking about these models. And then it was styled by Edward Enninful, who's the editor-in-chief. But yeah, it was a really striking look. And it's all about talking about the impact and the rising popularity of really notable African models at the time. So yeah, really
that's
cool.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's really cool. And also it sort of then is one of those things again, we like, why doesn't this happen more? Why has like, it's sort of that thing of like, I don't know, it's really impactful, but I don't know why it hasn't happened sooner, or these sort of things don't come to fruition differently. But I thought the photography was sensational, the styling, sort of whatever the aperture, like all of this, like it just was really beautiful, really striking images. And also obviously front covers don't tend to always just be one model on the cover anymore, but you very rarely do tend to have sort of 9 women. You know, like it was just a really different issue. And I think actually
that's true.
If these magazines are going to keep up, and if you're going to make us keep reading magazines which feel quite outdated, you've got to mix it up, and it's got to be a different setup. And I think that's actually the right way to go about it, is the human appeal of reading about interesting women, and not just making it about sort of nice clothes, because that's the reality, right? There's stories behind it all. Even if you got a wine subscription, half of it wouldn't be about like what the wine tastes like. It would be about the person who owns the vineyard. You would get the history behind that. And I think actually people and connections is what kind of keeps sort of these things going. Yeah, really, really cool shoot.
Yeah.
And I look like the wigs were kind of funny.
Yeah, the wigs aren't great,
but I'm assuming that's somewhat intentional.
Yeah, I think it's quite doll-like.
Yeah. I think it's a bit sort of like not tongue in cheek, but it's a bit like exaggerated.
Yeah, I think that's probably, and I think that's a good point, because they are quite humorous and quite comical, and they're like jet black, very shiny, very set waves.
Yeah.
And they don't look like they suit the models.
No, yeah.
In a way, is a critique of European beauty in a sense. Yeah. They're all like very like dark-skinned black African models with the most European looking.
Yeah. That's so true.
But yeah, it's a cool. And you talked about the coloring, and I think it's this like, I don't know photography like this. I don't know the technical terms, but it's almost like cooler tones.
Yeah.
Like bluish tones on their skin, I think, which adds to, it's a departure from making someone just look like glowy and cute.
Or warming up skin. I just think that everything was really deliberate. Yeah.
Really random thought, but I've always been of the thinking that, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Portugal Vogue, but their front covers are like really artistic.
Yeah,
they're like arty covers, whereas American and British Vogue is always about like the celeb on the cover or like just looking good. And I've always thought to myself, like, Vogue, with all their money and all their power, I always felt like they could be putting out more like fashion creative led imagery, as opposed to
a pretty like
picture of model. Yeah, like who cares about that? That can be on the inside, but you've got the best photographers and best like artists who can really like put messages across on the front page. Why don't they do that more? I don't know.
That's so true. And actually, I would say a front cover should be my aspiration. If I was designing the front cover of Vogue, would be that someone wants to frame that cover.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I don't want to frame a cover of like Rihanna just looking hot, or like Adele just looking great in some nice clothes. You want something like either like, I don't know, you just, like you said, have all the really like beautiful pictures that sells clothes inside, but like the cover should be more about art or a bit more experimental.
Yeah.
So again, Vogue, you know,
we have a consulting side to this podcast.
Our consulting business.
Get in line, should I say? Yeah.
We interrupt this broadcast to say, go follow us on Instagram. Our handle is @StyleOverSubstancePod. There you'll find our weekly fashion topics, all the stuff that we discuss in each episode, and our polls.
Or reach out to us at styleoversubstancepodcast@gmail.com for new suggestions of topic discussions, or even to share your own fashion stories. We also have a YouTube channel, Style Over Substance Podcast, if you'd rather listen to our episodes over there.
Back to the episode.
We're talking shapewear in a broad sense, or restrictive clothing, and kind of how we feel about it in this day and age, its relevance to fashion now. And is this also a big topic that we've been thinking about, talking about for some time? So now we've got the chance to. New year, new topic. Do you have any shapewear?
I have some Spanx, yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, because this was one of the questions I was going to ask. Like, if you had a quote unquote problem area, would you buy shapewear, and what is it for? What area?
You know what? I don't even really know. I would have bought Spanx when for sure I didn't need them, like I don't know if it was just like a thing to get, or I don't really.
What Spanx have you got?
Like the ones that just like the shorts ones, sort of that probably suck in your tummy and probably do a bit of
in the thigh one.
Yeah. Okay. But I probably would have got it more for the tummy. It's probably more if you're wearing a form-fitting dress, just to help, ensure that you might have a sort of flat stomach when you leave the house, but is it throughout the day going to come out, which is actually really normal, by the way. But yeah, it's probably more for that. I can't I don't remember there being a moment where I was like, I'm really insecure about this. I'm buying these for a reason. I think it was more like, this is what people do, right? They like, you have a tight dress, you put these on.
Yeah, I think Spanx had especially let's say maybe like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Spanx was the thing that, it was like underwear. It's like you need Spanx for some reason at some point.
Yeah.
And it was a real
and it was always that word you would use.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit like how Americans use Kleenex. It was always,
we say Hoover for like vacuum cleaners. Yeah.
It was always like, oh, Spanx,
Yeah. I agree.
And then I've probably got more like, I haven't worn them for years, but I think I've probably got sort of slip dresses that more like have a built-in bra, so then you don't have like the shapes of your bra like strap digging in type of a thing, and it creates a smooth line. But again, I don't really know why I bought them type. How about you?
I don't have shapewear. Hold on, do I have shapewear? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't, but have I really thought about buying any, to be honest? No, I think when it comes to stomachs with me, it's not like I'm conscious of love handles or something, but my stomach is just bloated because I've eaten, and I know that Spanx can't fit bloat. Like it can't
hide it,
rectify that. So, so I've never bought them, but I will say that, and maybe this is our first point of discussion, shapewear can often be quite expensive. It's not a cheap product to buy, and for that reason I've always seen Spanx and, well, Wolford is an expensive brand anyway, but Spanx and Wolford I've always seen as a what's the word, like it's it kind of shows wealth in a way. if you own a lot of Spanx and Wolford, then you've got money.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a mature product to buy. And I think maybe I'd never bought it because I was like in my early 20s and I wasn't that girl.
But also the reality is, if you're in your early 20s, you probably don't need it. And well, you never really need it. Like, is a thing as well. Yeah, it's interesting actually. And when I was doing research for this, I saw quite a few I was reading different articles, and sort of some that were really negative towards shapewear, sort of the corsetry history, restrictive thing, and then some that were a lot more positive.
Yeah.
And I found it quite interesting, sort of the different stances that people take. But I think maybe a place to start or think about is, who do you dress for? Because actually, like, I dress for myself. So like, if I'm wearing Spanx, it's because I'm self-conscious of something.
But that's the thing. I don't think we can ever really truly dress for ourselves, because when we say we dress for ourselves, we're always imagining ourselves in an outfit, but how people see us.
Yeah,
we are
for sure. But yeah. But so then one of the articles that I read was much more sort of like, and I think this still happens a lot today, is that there was a point where you were to be seen wearing a corset, or if you didn't wear something like that, it was sort of a real faux pas.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for men, it was for other women. And I still think that's probably more it. You imagine the compliment that your friend might be like, that looks great. I sort of very rarely would go, I'm hoping some like dude's gonna come up to me like, you look really nice. Like, it's probably more I think a lot of girls buy maybe a designer thing, hoping that like someone who's in the know knows, I spotted that's that new Bottega bag. Yeah. Because a guy's probably not going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Unless they're really into their fashion.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's an interesting thing of, I think there's a lot of negativity around corsetry and restrictive clothing because of different things. But I also think it's really difficult.
It is a bit of a minefield, isn't it?
Because the reason we want to impress probably people is because of societal standard.
Yeah.
And because there's an expectation or there's a desired figure for every decade. There's a desired female shape figure, and there's an expectation that you actually don't necessarily get bloated when you eat food or whatever. But there's also sort of that thing of you're doing it a bit for yourself and all for like
of course. I think it's never all
one thing.
Like corsetry and all of that was very much rooted or like linked with a sense of decorum, and you were only proper if you wore a bustier and a corset and a this and a that, and you couldn't show those parts, but you had to accentuate this part and all of that. Now I think that when we were growing up, I think we went through a phase of like your body had to be really slim, no lumps and bumps. You know, we lived through the early 2000s of incredible thinness and eating, like open eating disorders. And you had to be like slim and have like no ass and like big tits and like really slim. And so Spanx, I think that's when it kind of got most popular. When Spanx became a company, I think in the 90s. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the 90s. And Spanx was a way for everyone, like your mum's friends and celebrities alike, to get that figure, even if they were middle-aged, you know. And now in an era where we have like body positivity and we're trying to be more open and honest about real bodies and how they look, and we also have on the same like on the other side of the coin, we have like the culture of BBLs, and how, like, remember, like, waist trainers, like 6 years ago, waist trainers were massive. Everyone was going outside, everyone was going shopping in their waist trainer, like, and you could see them, or like go into the gym in their waist trainer because they thought that it would help you get more snatched and tighter if you worked out in them. And so we saw a revival of literally corsets. At the same time, we saw let it all hang out, you know, like, be whoever you are, like, wear whatever you want, feel how you want to in your natural state. And so right now, because you have those two sides, you either get, people don't really talk about wearing Spanx as much because it kind of implies that you're embarrassed about how your body is. But at the same time, we've got girls wearing like waist trainers and getting BBLs to achieve that exaggerated look that a corset would give you anyway. So it's both. Like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, really.
Yeah, and I actually think you made a good point that, like, from what I could tell, that some of the origins of a corset was supposedly to help with posture, and actually to help be, a lot of people think it was a hindrance, sort of in hindsight. We're like, oh, like, how could we do that to women? But I've read articles where women said actually it was helpful. It meant I didn't get so much backache. Like, it supported me in my daily life. But it was also really to achieve the desired figure of the time, whatever that was. Whether that was cinching in the waist, like in the 50s, to be really small, whether in the 20s that was like reducing your hips down. And like you said, in the 90s, like, again, a really slim figure. Like, that's the path of the shape and how restrictive clothing has been used. And I think the difference now is, like you said, there's two camps, because we almost don't need it because surgery has taken over. Yeah. Which is bonkers, but that has taken over. And it's a really funny one, because obviously we're also at that height of Kim Kardashian launching her basically competitor line to Spanx. I don't know if that does what Spanx do. Obviously that's a really innovative sort of type of fabric to try and like pull you in and shape you, and like,
it's complex.
It's complex, and to kind of tighten things but then lift and whatever it's meant to do. But the reality is, the person who has created that brand has had surgery to ensure that's what she looks like all the time. It's not the Spanx or the Skims.
It's false advertising, is it not?
It's false advertising. I actually watched a TikTok of how Kylie's figure changed. So it was like this girl basically showing from like 2014 up until not current day. There was a second part that's about to be made. But showing when she would have got her BBL. That kind of a thing.
And multiple.
And I'm a bit of a naysayer of like, oh, like, have they all had that much work done? You kind of hope they haven't, right? And granted, my hips have grown and all of that stuff, but I doubt you would notice if that my hips have grown, but I do, you know. So that's probably the difference. And it was showing, and even just more. So she was photographed every day. And then all of us in quite skimpy outfits that you could see her figure. I mean, not like skimpy as in, oh dear.
Like a bodycon. No.
Yeah. And then she started wearing shirts tied around her waist. Then she started wearing shirts tied around her waist to sort of, for her first one. And you can see progressively, then she sort of shows it off in maybe some tight jeans after like a bit. And then again, there's a bit of it being tied around your waist, and until the effects, I guess, kick in, or to sort of hide or make that it look like a natural transition. And it's bonkers to see.
Yeah.
But that is but just that's the new, it's the new thing. If you can afford it, you don't now need that. But the unfortunate thing is that that's permanent.
Yeah. And also wearing, I don't want to say corsets, but maybe more like waspies, like the half corsets, and at least bandaging your stomach was something that across multiple cultures was encouraged by women who were postpartum.
Yes, it was actually heavily encouraged.
Like it would help your muscles kind of close up, come together again. It would help looser skin, like your expanded skin not loosen up, it like contract a bit more. And it's encouraged and used by lots of women who have recently given birth. But in recent years, 10, 15 years, the like when we talk about celebrities, that is, it's the post-baby tummy tuck instead of this bandaging and wearing of corsets, which has been used for like centuries. So yeah, you're right. Like, what we can sit here and say that like Spanx is this and Spanx is that. Spanx is a general term for like shapewear. I'm using it. Shapewear is this and that, and you don't need it. But there's a lot of people who are just opting for surgery as the alternative, hoping that it will give them a more permanent resolution to whatever they don't like about themselves. So yeah. But what was I going to say? So yeah, so like some of the biggest brands is like Spanx, Wolford, Skims because of Kim Kardashian. There's Heist as well. There's a company called Heist Studios, and there's Wacko, and those are the ones that I know of. Yeah, and they're still going strong. So there's still like massive demand for it.
There's still a massive demand for it, and I think what it comes with and probably how it's marketed is it's meant to sort of just give you a bit of a confidence, right? I guess that's the idea behind it.
It's like makeup. That's the marketing.
If you're making an effort, if you're going there and that's going to help you feel a bit more confident or whatever, then sort of why not? And I think, like you said, we grew up with it being such a sort of just throwaway. Yeah. I'll just throw some Spanx on with it. That I think it's considered a really normal thing, because actually corsetry, or whether people wore, like you said, waspies or whatever their restrictive element was, that was again part and parcel. And I think in some way we all alter our figures in subtle ways, even. Yeah. I mean, first of all, there's like those padded pants to make you look like you've got more of a bum than you do.
It's true.
But even just right, so like there's push-up bras, and there's really padded bras where people can look like they've got bigger boobs than they do, or for bigger breasted ladies, they want reducers. Yeah, and there are minimizing bras. And so even in those small ways, we are all consciously altering our figure ever so slightly. But it's still kind of contorting is probably not the right word, but we're still editing our shape somewhat.
I, as someone who doesn't own any shapewear, but I used to sell lingerie and quite restrictive clothing at the time, I always thought that the more expensive ones actually were the better products, because I've seen, like some other brands come out and try to imitate the success of, Wolford and Spanx and that. I mean, even Skims, like I don't even know if her stuff's even as what's the word? As good.
Yeah, as convincing. Yeah.
As convincing and as useful and as figure hugging and firm as some of the other brands. I don't know. I always felt like shapewear was that area that spending quite a bit of money on it was the only way you were going to get a good result. What do you think? Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. And I think that applies as well. Say if you wanted to buy Like if you went to a premium lingerie company and you wanted a corset,
yeah,
you're probably going to get one that fits you better,
yeah,
that's more comfortable than if you just kind of got a really quick off the shelf
like
size 8, size 10 one from Topshop or whatever, or Boo Avenue. And I do like Spanx and all that. It is a real science. It's sort of the way you weave different yarns together, the direction of them. It's really important. So you have to really know how the body works, the shape of the muscle that you're working with, and all of that. And actually it goes back to, I think there's a lot of thought process when people used to have to wear corsets. We have a real sorrow for that people used to wear them. And granted, I'm struggling sat here with, non-stretch jeans on, but that's also because I'm not sitting the right way. I'm not sitting probably with the right posture or the right way to be holding my body. But we're forgetting that they weren't just wearing a one size fits all. They would have a corset made to their body type, so it should have worked for them as best possible. It's not like, I'm trying to fit my feet into your shoes and you're trying to fit yours into mine. They were made for a person, for their body type. A bit like, you buy the bra that is the right size for you. And I think that the more you spend on stuff like that, probably the more you get out of it. And
there's a few women that I actually follow who make corsets for other people. I think it's still largely in the more like retro fashion community. Still really
that's where you really see it now, right? Actually, I would say more corsets exist either for retro sort of inspired people, like a Dita Von Teese fan, that kind of a vibe, for burlesque, for sort of performance, or for the bedroom. It's not something
just for weddings.
For sort of I guess formal wear, sort of but you don't find many people who would just be wearing one of those under their clothing for no reason.
Would you ever do that?
I don't know. Potentially, like, because I definitely think, I don't know.
I have a corset, and it's I'm not gonna lie, it's really nice. It's like midnight blue, and it's got beading on it, and I got it was actually a gift when I worked in lingerie, and our store manager went to the sample sale and bought us back all like a piece.
Wow.
It was really nice. So I have this. I feel like it's a little bit long for me, but whatever. And I've, in my mind, ever since I got it, I was thinking one day I'm gonna wear a high-waisted pair of trousers, like tailored trousers with it, like over the corset. Does that make sense? Like wear the corset as a top and then like have a blazer with it. I'm waiting for this occasion because it's not something I can just go to the club with.
Yeah.
Or
you should do it.
Or like another. But
you could even just wear that and then with like a white shirt, and you just get
It's true, but it's a corset, Scarlett.
Yeah, but like
I can't dance in that. I can't. I need it like for.
No, but I just mean just even to go for dinner. If you turn up for dinner in these high-waisted trousers, a white shirt, and I just see a little like, what is that? Is that a nice corset under there?
Yeah.
Because maybe. I think also that's empowering, right? Then you're sort of like, I feel great in this.
Hopefully I do, and not just uncomfortable.
Make sure you've worn jeans for a while and not too much elastic clothing that week. But yeah, I think, you know what, they now have become very much sort of, they're probably part of that fantasy fashion, right? Because it's not an everyday item. If you were to wear something like that, you're like, what could I wear that for? But I still love that there is, after we sort of spoke to the likes of Hood London,
Yeah.
I love that there is just these realms and pockets of people who still keep these passions and these special things alive, that there is still there will be people who go to burlesque clubs and that is their bread and butter of a good night out and their favorite thing to spend money on, and is keeping that industry alive, the people who are hand making these things, which I think is really special, rather than just Anne Summers making, like,
is Anne Summers she is still
I'm guessing so, but yeah, I don't know. I read a really interesting thing when I was looking at the history of sort of how corsets went in and out of fashion. And obviously in the 1920s, the shape changed quite drastically, and Coco Chanel is sort of famous for sort of being like, away with corsets, let's wear trousers and let's sort of stop that. But I read that in America, during the First World War, they actually requested for women to stop wearing corsets because they needed the metal for boats.
Oh, so it's part of rationing, essentially.
So let me just bear with me 1 second.
I mean, how many bits of metal are gonna get out?
So in 1917, the US War Industries Board asked women to stop buying corsets to free up metal for war production. This step liberated some 28,000 tons of metal, enough to build 2 battleships.
Wow.
Yeah. So that made me have 2 thoughts. One, was Coco so revolutionary, and is that blasphemy? I don't know, because I love her. But maybe it was a step that was having to happen anyway, and she sort of helped encourage it along.
Yeah, like, women, you don't need these anyway. You can still be fabulous.
Yeah.
And great.
But
looking.
then maybe that wasn't happening in France. So maybe it was. Who knows? But that's crazy, right?
That is interesting, actually. Yeah, out of necessity, it became a thing to do away with.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Right now, actually, I just remembered that although we have these niche fashion cultures who are still really big into corsets, we do have a trend of bustiers going on. They're not strictly corsets, to say you lace them up, but tops with boning has become really popular with fast fashion, clubbing brands, the Pretty Little Things, the Boohoo's, the whatevers, the Sheins. There's lots of people who are wearing that sort of thing now. I haven't really seen a lot that are great.
Yeah.
Styled well.
I think it's a style that comes back around, right? It's sort of that, I think I remember at my art foundation year, I sort of did a project on sort of underwear as outerwear. And I remember at school there would probably be girls that would wear a sort of corseted top from a Boo Avenue or whatever would have been a shop then. La Senza. Do you remember La Senza?
Yes. Oh my
you know, God. They would wear that with a pair of jeans for a sort of
I think that's unlocked a whole an
under 16s party or something. And and again, you can tell when these things are cheap. They're never that nice.
Yeah.
And it's not that wearing a bustier or anything like that is cheap, because actually when they're really nicely made, they're beautiful. They can be really lovely tops, and you see lots of people pull it off really, really well on red carpets or, celebrities and stuff like that. But I think it's one of those garments. I think you often find it with bras a bit as well. You can tell when something's nicely made.
Yeah.
Because it's a real craft, and because it has to fit a female body. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that comes back around.
Yeah, that's true. And as we've spoken about before, we're living in a time where we are piecing trends and ideas and fashions of the past in ways in which they weren't intended. It's just a whole mishmash of different trends from yesteryear, basically, all at the same time right now in 2022. And so, yeah, you're bound to see like the fashions that we thought were ugly at the time are now revived again and are somehow looking better than they did before. So yeah, I don't think that shapewear will ever die, as so long as there's
an ideal figure,
physical insecurity, and ideations of like what it is to be beautiful. Then but it says something when more and more people are getting like body surgeries, like BBLs and things like that. So, and I think from the videos that I've watched, because I do love a surgery video. I don't know what it is, but I do like watching them. I have no intentions of getting a BBL, but I love to watch them. And a lot of the girls who get them done say, you know, I want to fill out my clothes better. Like I want to just put on something and it just hangs nice on me. And I think it's the idea of, let me just wear like a really simple figure hugging dress. And instead of buying clothing where the clothing shapes you or it gives you structure, it's just I can wear the most basic thing and I can just look like an hourglass because my body is already that shape. And I think that's what we're probably just moving towards. There's still the idea of there is such a thing as a perfect body, quote unquote. But my clothes don't achieve that for me. I just am.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, and it's funny actually because in a Taylor Swift documentary, she talked about sort of the pressure of conforming to size.
Yeah,
and that
didn't she have like a fake like butt pad at one point?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm gonna find. I'm pretty sure one day she came on the red carpet and people were like, "Where's this bum coming from?"
Oh, but she sort of was saying that you're meant to have a flat stomach, right? So the ideal figure is a flat stomach and a big bum.
Yeah.
But if you've got a flat stomach, then you're too slim to have a big bum.
Yeah.
And if you've got a big bum that everyone wants, then you've got a bit of a poochie pouch because you don't have a flat stomach because you've got enough meat on you to get that big bum, which is why then this BBL thing, I think, is so popular because it can allow you to be both. Yeah. Which is not a real figure, you know, or it's not an attainable figure, but it's achieving the impossible. And you know, it's that awful thing as well. And you actually see, I feel like Khloe's reduced her bum a bit. Khloe Kardashian. I
have, again, surgery videos. I've seen some stuff about Kim reducing her hips and bum, and Khloe. Yeah.
But I feel like we could do a whole different topic on this. And I don't mean this in any disrespect to the Kardashians, because I've enjoyed watching their show and, you know, they're doing they're living their lives. But I think they also have to be really aware that there are women who have morphed their bodies because they have changed the ideal figure of beauty. And like, there's for sure a direct correlation of people wanting to have a big bum and a tiny waist because of them.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're now reduced, and they've never admitted that they do something to change that. They've always implied that that's their natural
shape
they got from their mama. And now the fact that they're altering that makes me really sad that they I think they just need to admit it. But I saw something recently that said that influencers are going to have to start admitting when they edit their photos, UK influencers, which I think is sort of that first step of, you can't probably force somebody to tell you they've had work done. And I think we've got a lot.
Editing pictures and admitting you've had work done is there's space between the two. Like,
oh, for sure, of course there is, but it's sort of the same difference, right? It's like that I think that someone like them have the responsibility to say, I actually haven't achieved this in the gym. Because other people are going out there to copy them.
Yeah.
Or achieve it because they can't achieve it in the gym. But yeah, I think it's funny because I think shapewear will always be, you'll always want to be trying to achieve. We always want what we don't want, right? We always want what we don't have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you will always be, if just my stomach looks slightly slimmer there, or my waist looks slightly smaller or exaggerated.
Yeah. I think for me in like when I'm middle-aged, definitely I'll be on that Spanx. Because why not? If I'm honest, why not? It gets to the point where like I'm not like the most insecure person, you know, like I'm not constantly chasing like perfection in terms of my looks, you know, I look how I look, whatever, but it will be like, why look like this when I don't have to? You know, if we know that like body surgery is such a big thing now, and let's assume it gets more and more popular in 20 years, and everyone looks like their body's great and it's tight and it's right, and
it's going to get more realistic,
and it's going exactly, surgeries are going to get better, the risks are going to get
like
lower.
Think how different Botox, all that is now. Like you can't tell with some people until they just can't move their face.
And then you think about how many people get Botox. Before it was like 30s and upwards. Now it's like Botox at 18.
It's preventative.
It's preventative.
No, genuinely.
It's baby Botox, baby facelifts, preventative.
But like the way they advertise it is don't wait too long, or don't get it too late, but when they're already there, because we can't get rid of them. We can only prevent them from appearing. If you've already got the creases,
there's only so much you can do once you've already got them. I feel like if that's the society we're living in a few years' time, then I'm going to think to myself, why just accept these love handles when I can spend £100 at Wolford, at Spanx, and be done with them? It's going to be really hard for me to pee during the day because
it's got a pee hole.
But come on, it's like small and you have to like open it up, don't you?
You have to open it up, which feels really weird.
I mean, that's the logistics of shapewear. That's the thing. Like, it's restrictive. So, you know, when they say
it's not a fun experience.
It's not fun. And like going back to these surgeries and stuff, when you have to wear like what's called a faja, which is like the one you clip into, and then you have to buy different sizes depending on what stage of your post-surgery you are, because obviously you're like bloated to begin with, and as your results start to show, you kind of go down into a smaller and smaller,
oh my gosh,
faja size, let's say. Like when I've seen these videos of women wearing this, going to bed like this the day after your surgery, you got to be in it all day, because there's this fear that my body will pop back,
pop out.
It'll pop out. So
I fall out.
Yeah. So you just got to like strangle yourself to achieve that permanent shape. And then it's still a lifelong commitment, even with the surgery. In the same way that I think if you're going to wear Spanx and you're going to wear shapewear, are you going to keep? Oh, no, you're not. You just wear it because you're going to someone's wedding, don't you?
Yeah.
And then for every other day, you're just like, nah. Don't know.
Yeah, I think personally, if I got to the point where I felt like I needed to wear Spanx every day, I either need to work on some self-acceptance or, you know, go to the gym.
Yeah. Kim used to wear 2 at a time, remember?
Yeah. Which sounds awful.
It does. No, honestly.
Yeah. Shapewear, man. A minefield. Yeah.
Anyway, I see the point of it. No judgment.
Yeah, it does make me mad.
Because it's so temporary, you can't be mad at it.
I'd rather someone wear shapewear than get a BBL.
Oh yeah. Same. I feel the same way. But yeah, any other thoughts on shapewear?
No, what do you think our poll should be?
What shapewear do people have out there? And what do they assume to be the most popular one to buy?
Yeah.
I think it's the tummy one with the thong. I think the ones they have out now with the one with the thong at the back instead of like the short brief.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. I think that's probably like a favorite.
Yeah. Especially because like it's a real faux pas, isn't it? How many snaps have you seen sort of on the likes of a Daily Mail where someone like you see their Spanx under their dress and that feels like a real faux pas to have seen that they're wearing them, which is ridiculous. But at least that one sort of eliminates that.
Yeah. Mind you, I'm pretty sure you could see my knickers in everything I wear. Like,
no, I don't mean like a VPL. You know, like if like their skirt is slightly up and then like you see like shows the leg of the shorts. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
People are always like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But then I think a lot of the people I see who wear, they're all celebs and they're all like toned and whatnot. And you think to yourself, do you need them?
Yeah, they all look great. Yeah. But maybe it's also the pressure.
It goes back to like, why am I not wearing them when everyone else is wearing them? Why am I setting
and I think that's why we do it, because like, well, she looks great and she obviously felt the need to wear it. So I obviously do, but like, I hope I keep company where if I just looked a bit bloated that day, just like, no one that I'm surrounded by is like worried about that. And then therefore then I wouldn't be.
Yeah. It really is about the circles that you keep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that should be our poll. Like guessing what's the most popular form of shapewear, the most popular brand probably. And you know, if you have any and if you've bought any, what did you buy? Was it worth it? Did it work?
And do you wear a corset under your clothes?
Oh, yes.
So we've got a few things for you to answer. Don't be shy.
This is a test. Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Style Over Substance, guys.
Don't forget to check out our Instagram or Spotify to respond to this week's poll.
Bye.